Well, let me welcome you to the conversation segment of the Signature Show this Sunday. It is not always that we bring groups and associations to this show. But there is this saying that when you see what is more important than the yams, you sell the barn. So you make a change. This afternoon, we have the president of the Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Agban. For now, I will address him as president-elect because he has not been inaugurated. He used to be the secretary of that association. So he has issues concerning his members right at his fingertips. He is Baba Usman Miyetti. You are welcome to the conversation.
Thank you very much.
Let me begin by congratulating you on your election. How did the election go?
Well, by the grace of God, it went well. And I have to use this medium to appreciate His Eminence the Sultan of Sokoto for organizing this very credible election, and to also appreciate the Electoral Committee and the Screening Committee under the chairmanship of Justice Gumi, who was the former FCT Chief Judge. I will have to appreciate all of them for organizing a very good and credible election. And here I will have to tell you, and I want you to understand that Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association, which is Magban, is the only democratic pastoralist association in the country. It's the only association that elects its members after every 4 years. Election takes place after every 4 years of a tenure at the national, state, and local governments. So it's about the only democratic pastoralist association in the country. If not, all the others are not. So we have to appreciate His Eminence for making this election possible, and I have to appreciate God for giving me the success during the election that was held on Saturday, 29th of October 2022. So glory be with God Almighty for seeing us through the election successfully.
Okay. Your members are the people breeding cattle in the country. What do they expect from your leadership?
Well, you see, with the new election, I'm not supposed to speak until when the inauguration is done. But because I have been the National Secretary of the Association for almost 8 years, I think I can speak on some of the plans that we may have for the pastoralists in the country. Because the challenges, as you rightly said, they are at my fingertips, ranging from the economic aspect of pastoralism to education, to victim support, to sensitization, and above all, and most importantly, to the negative media profiling that has been going on for years against the pastoralists, profiling them negatively, alleging them to have perpetrated whatever crime that happens today in this country. So this is one of the most important aspects that we have to address. We will create avenues for the public to know our side of the story, because as it is now, some of the media houses are lopsided against us. Some of the media houses deliberately profile us and our members negatively, maybe for some political purposes and what have you. But these are issues that we have to squarely address. We have to come up with a very good media strategy where our side of the story will also be heard by the public, unlike before, when negative things against our members are always on the public domain. People see an average Nigerian pastoralist as a criminal, while he is at the receiving end of all the vices that are taking place in the country today. Ranging from the farmer-herder conflict, he has been at the receiving end, to cattle wrestling. When it was a small scale, it grew into a larger scale, then to industrial scale. So cows today are missing in their thousands. And the Nigerian pastoralists, who are the Fulanis, remain the sole owners of cows, of the cattle in the country, because 95 to 98% of the cattle in the country are owned by the pastoralists. So if a cow is being wrestled, it must have been wrestled from a pastoralist. So the pastoralists have lost quite a fortune from cattle wrestling. Then coming to kidnapping, where today most of the public are seeing the pastoralists used as the culprits. But we know crime doesn't discriminate between tribe or religion. We know you find them participating in crime just like any other group in this country. There's no group or society that has no criminal among them. So just like any other society in this country, we also have our fair share of criminals among us. This is a fact that we must not dispute. But then to hold an entire race against a crime perpetrated by so few of them, I don't think the media and some section of the public are doing justice for us. So before one personality is kidnapped in the city or on the road, hundreds of pastoralists must have been kidnapped in the forest on daily basis. It is a silent happening. It is not being reported. People don't know much about it. The pastoralists sell the cows, pay ransom quietly to free maybe their family or themselves. So they have also lost a fortune as a result of cattle wrestling. Then coming to banditry, so for how many times have you been hearing bandits wrestling cattle, going away with cattle? Bandits ransacking communities. They don't select their victims. Most of the Fulanis are also victims of banditry. Since they are the sole owners of the cow in the country, they suffer more than any other society in terms of losing fortune, in terms of losing wealth, because even in the Northeast, where the insurgency started, at a time, the pastoralist cows became the main source of funding for insurgents. So even now, what is happening in the northwestern part of the country is still the same. The pastoralist cow has become source of money for all sorts of criminals, because cows are being lost in their thousands. There was a day, it's one single day in Kafin Koro in Niger State, when some pastoralists lost 1,720 cows in just one day. So you can imagine the extent at which cows have been taken away from the pastoralists. So our members are the receiving end of all these vices over the years. But still,
yes,
instead of the public and the media to do justice for our members, they portrayed our members to be seen as criminals deliberately. It's unfortunate.
I do not know whether it is deliberate about Usman, but there's a security challenge about this matter. Your people in the bushes, moving from location to location, tend to encounter the insecurity firsthand. I do not know whether I'll be making a serious demand on you. What is the expectation of the level of security protection for your members? What demand will you make of both the state and federal government?
Well,
you see, security.
You see, security is the absolute responsibility of the government, whether at the federal or state level. It's an absolute responsibility of the government. And our members are also citizens of this country. they deserve to be protected by the government, either state or federal. As citizens, they deserve every right and privilege as Nigerians, just like any other person in this country. So protecting them is the responsibility of the government, and we believe the government is doing its best in trying to protect everybody, because if not for the security that we have in this country today, only God knows where the country will be. But because of the security, that is why me and you are now discussing in the studio in peace. If there is no security, we would not have had the opportunity to come and talking to ourselves for the public to see.
The government is trying.
Well, government is trying. It's trying, because that is why we are living in peace. That is why we transact business during the daytime without any much fear or what have you. But there are some areas where there are serious cases of insecurity, and we believe the government is aware about all these things, and we believe the government must be doing something about this kind of things.
Okay, let us share that belief. I want you and I to close our eyes and look 100 years from now. 100 years, I will not be here. You are not likely to be here. The pastoralist moves from location to location, not because he wants to move, but because he's looking for fodder and water for his animal. We are having this conversation in Abuja. 50 years ago, the entire Abuja was open land, and the pastoralists moved happily. There was grass, there was water. Abuja is shrinking. I said, let's close our eyes and look 100 years. There'll be new cities, there'll be new towns, there'll be development, and available space for pastoralists will be shrinking. I've paused to allow you see what I'm saying and ask you, what be the fate of the pastoralist in 100 years? And what change can we begin to make him comfortable, relevant, and a major part of the economy?
Thank you very much for this question. You see, I believe about what you said. Don't talk of even 100 or 50 years to come. Talk of 10, 20 years to come. Because the population as it is will continue to grow. Not only the population of human beings, even the populations of the animals will continue to grow against a land that doesn't increase. So this calls for an effective planning in order to accommodate everybody. The pastoralists, the Nigerian pastoralists are still practicing the primitive system of animal husbandry they inherited from their forefathers, because there was no attempt by the past succeeding administrations to try to transform them, to try to make them know the system of modernized animal husbandry. They are still holding an outdated species of cow that is given a maximum of not more than 3 liters per cow. They are still maintaining a species of cows that are weighing not more than 150 kilogram. Because of the continuous movement, they lose weight, so they have no enough meat. The meat is just contained with a lot of muscles and what have you. But is this their own fault? It's not their own fault. This is a society that has not been educated. This is a society that was left on its own for decades. This is a society that is the most productive society in the country because they are the sole suppliers of protein to the country. Mention whatever protein, may it be cow, goat, sheep, local chicken, whatever is being supplied by the pastoralists. Lagos alone consumes 6,000 cows on a daily basis. Who are the producers of these cows? They are still the pastoralists. 2,050 lot of cows enters the southwestern part of the country, each carrying 40 to 35 cows. If you multiply this by 250, you realize about over 8,000 cows entered the southwestern part of the country. Just imagine how many are going into the southeastern part of the country on a daily basis. Just imagine the huge investment involved in this. So, but these guys who are producing these things were left on their own. No attempt was made to educate them. No attempt was made to modernize their trade. No attempt was made to even develop their trade. We have about 415 grazing reserves spread across the northern part of the country, with only 3 are still allocated in the southwestern part of the country. Apart from those 3, all the other grazing reserves have allocated in the northern part of the country, covering an area of about 5 million hectares of land. But are these grazing reserves developed? Even those that have enjoyed interventions were left to deteriorate. The dams are silted, no water. The nomadic schools are no longer there. The milk collection centers, veterinary clinics that were provided in some of the grazing reserves as intervention by some other internal and external organizations were all left to dilapidate. They no longer serve the purpose for which they were. So, and even the palatable grass that are being consumed by the cows are giving way to unpalatable ones. You know why? Because mostly the cows come out from the dry season very hungry, looking for food. Immediately the rain starts, first, second week of rain, immediately the new grasses begin to come out. The cows will be forced to feast on these grasses, and by feasting on them, they remove them from their roots. So the grasses were not allowed to grow, develop, and drop seeds for next season. This gradual process made the grazing reserves become bare. So the palatable grasses that are being consumed by the cows are giving way to unpalatable ones. So most of the grazing reserves are being taken over by unpalatable grasses that are not being consumed by the cow because of lack of maintenance. And these guys, the pastoralist society, have cows as their only source of livelihood. All their lives and that of their family depends on the cow. They sell the cow for everything. They are not dependent on government for everything. When they want to buy food, they sell the cow, buy food. When they want to get the daughter married out, they go to the cow. When they want to take wife for the son, they sell the cow. When they want to go to hospital, so the cow is everything for them. It's a source of livelihood and a way of life, and culture is attached to it. They have to survive, and the only way for them to survive, as they see their forefathers do, is to roam the wild looking for free pasture. After all, what took them to the southern part of the country?
Let me intervene.
It's in search of pasture and water.
I want to intervene here because I've asked this question before and I've not gotten an answer. Will the Fulani pastoralists accept a Marshall Plan for the industry?
Hold on, I am coming down to that. Before I started, I told you the population will continue to grow. Both sides, both on the side of the human beings and the cow, against a land that doesn't increase. This calls for an effective planning. We are never opposed to ranching. We are never opposed to settlement. We know at the end, the pastoralists must have to settle in one place. But how are they going to settle? You cannot bring any sort of ranching model from the outside and expect these pastoralists will embrace it. It has to suit their peculiarities before they accept. And what are those peculiarities? We have a pastoralist society that doesn't concern much about the quality of the cow. Its concern is the quantity, because the number of the cows you have determines the importance, your importance in the society you live. The more cows you have, the more important you become. So until when you understand these dynamics, until when you understand these peculiarities, before you begin to think and come up with a model that can suit these peculiarities. If there is a model that can suit these peculiarities, and if we put our heads together, we must definitely develop one. They can always settle. Let me give you an example. L&Z Yogurt in Kano once invited me. They took me around to the areas where they are collecting milk from the pastoralists in the outskirts of Kano. I went there. I saw early morning they bring their milk in their local cans. They queue up, waiting for the factory vehicle to come. When the factory vehicle comes, they will test the milk, weigh it, empty it into their can, record for each pastoralist. Do you know that these mere milk collection centers has encouraged the pastoralists to become sedentary, because they have off-takers who are off-taking their milk on daily basis. And the factory is buying each liter of milk at the cost of 120 naira per liter. But it says each family who has agreed to enroll his children into the local primary school, that factory is going to buy their liter of milk at the cost of 140. Because of this 20 naira increase, they all enroll their children into the local primary school, not nomadic school, into the local community school. They all enroll their children into that school. Because of the milk collection center, they have become sedentary. During the rainy season, when it is farming season, they transfer the cows to the Falgore Forest Grazing Reserve. During the rainy season, immediately after the rainy season, they bring the cows back by negotiating with the farmers. They buy off the farm residue for their cows to continue to feast on. And some of the farmers don't collect money. They say, no, come and stay in my farm so that I can also benefit from the cow dung. You eat up the refuse, the leftover, then I also benefit from the cow dung as fertilizer in my farm. So look at their relationship has become so symbiotic, very interesting, no conflict. And they have enrolled all their children to the school, and they have become sedentary because of their establishment of the milk collection center in their community. So that is why I'm telling you, if you have come up with a model that can suit the peculiarity of these pastoralists, they will settle. We are not opposed to settlement. They are all Nigerians. They are all human beings. They want to enjoy life. They want to enjoy all these social amenities. Who would want to be living in the forest, a very vulnerable area, open for attack by all sorts of things? Who would want to be there, if not of necessity? They also want to enjoy the amenities of life as human beings. They also want their children to go to school. Well, I'm sitting, me and you now in the studio discussing. I'm a typical Fulani man. My father lives in the forest before he came to the city and born me. So I have the opportunity, this opportunity by God's grace, as a destiny. And it is because I went to school. That is why I'm sitting in this studio discussing with you. Because God has made it my own destiny, the destiny to be here. But then, you have to be educated before you come here and discuss the way we are discussing. So, they also want to enjoy life. They want their children to be educated. They want to enjoy social amenities of government. But because they have not been given the opportunity to do so, they were left in their own. In this area that we are living, they are still living in the past, still practicing the primitive system of animal husbandry, because no attempt by the first succeeding administration to try to transform their trade into the modernized trade. No attempt by the first succeeding administration to give them education and to allow them enjoy social amenities like any other Nigerian. They are a neglected society, in short.
Let's not be negative, because I'm enjoying this positive dimension
Yeah.
to this conversation. You see, this level of this part of our conversation, if you may pardon me, doesn't seem to totally tally with the position of your sister organization, Miyetti Allah.
Kautalhore.
Yes. Which is insisting on gazetting and designating the 500 and something grazing routes across the country, which is also asking for a ministry of nomadic affairs. Can we harmonize?
We're on the same page with them. We also have been agitating for the creation of the livestock ministry for the past 8 years now.
Are you not accommodated under the Ministry of Agriculture?
No. Imagine the challenges the pastoralists are facing in the country today. Do you think these challenges can be addressed by a mere husbandry ministry under a Ministry of Agriculture? And not only that, that ministry is being manned by all sorts of people, mostly those who don't have passion for pastoralism in this country. So the challenges of the pastoralists of this country is more than the power of a mere department under a ministry. That is the reason why, just like most of the African countries, West African countries we have been agitating for the creation of a livestock ministry so that the whole issue will be addressed under a particular body that is purely designated to address the issues. That is why we have been agitating for the livestock ministry. Or if we cannot get that, let's have a minister of state for livestock under the existing ministry, at least. If not an agency created for livestock. So this has been part of our agitation for the past 8 years. So we are almost on the same pace, gazetting the roads and gazetting the grazing reserves. There is no ranching in the country that can accommodate the pastoralists we have. And ranching cannot come just over time, just like if you want to switch off light and switch it on. It has to come as a process. And these are the processes we have to go through. Develop the existing grazing reserves, provide water in them. Once there is water and grass in the grazes we have in the north, what will take the pastoralists to the southern part of the country to put them in unnecessary trouble? What will be taking them to some forests where they become vulnerable for attack by all sorts of things? If you develop the grazing reserves, they will come and stay in them. And it is only when you get them in their large numbers staying in one place that you will have the opportunity to train them, educate them, sensitize them, provide milk processing factories around that place, provide meat processing factories, and provide veterinary services and what have you. So as a process, and if you want to ranch, are you going to buy the land for ranching from heaven to bring it down to the earth? You still have to use the existing land that we are all competing on it. So maintain the grazing reserves for us. In the event, in preparation for future ranching, we have to have a land before we ranch. So as a process, we have to develop this reserve. As a process, we have to create linkages between one reserve and the other. And those linkages are the cattle routes, to avoid encroaching into farmlands where little destruction will cause loss of lives. Because once a cow eats up little bit of plant, it becomes trouble, or it becomes a source of extortion. You see the leadership, the community, the farmer, the security, and everybody conniving to extort the pastoralist by exploiting his ignorance. So a distraction that may not be more than 10, 20,000, if you are going to settle it, the pastoralist will find himself paying 1 million, 2 million naira for even the entire farmland will not be more than 500,000 naira. But because of one simple distraction, the pastoralist will be held to pay 2 million naira. Extortion. So there has to be, ranching has to come as a process. It's not going to come overnight. These guys have been practicing this primitive system of animal husbandry over the years. And farming and live cattle rearing, they are two professions that were born to exist, to coexist together. It's just like a relationship of tongue and teeth.
I'm talking to state governments. Because by the constitution, the land is their responsibility.
The state government are the custodians of the grazing reserves. The state governments are the custodians of security in their states. The state governments are the custodian of education in their states. I'm purely talking to the state governments. The federal government has very little to do in this aspect, but the legislature has a lot to do, both at the state and the national level, more especially House of Reps and Senate. They will have to come and legislate on some of these challenges. They will have to come and legislate on them. Sentiments aside, take responsibility as Nigerians. Don't say, me, I am from the south, I don't want the pastoralists to be given. Some are even saying it's a private business, so government should not help it. It's wrong. Even a foreigner who is coming into Nigeria to invest deserves some sort of incentives by the Nigerian government. Airports are being established, developed, constructed for private airlines to fly and take off for their private owned businesses. Motor parks and roads are being constructed from commercial vehicles to fly, charge passengers money. It's not free. They charge money. It's their source of livelihood. But the government has constructed roads. But because out of sentiments, people are saying, no, cattle rearing is a private business, they should private. They deserve some sort of assistance and incentive like any other trade in this country. If a foreigner who is coming to invest into Nigeria deserves some sort of incentives, what more of an indigene who is the most important, who is the most productive society in Nigeria, who is providing the sole protein needs of the country? What more of him? What makes him an alien citizen? So, you see, sometimes people are just arguing for the sake of argument. If roads are constructed for commercial vehicles to fly, if airports are constructed for commercial airlines to land and take off, and are they giving the Nigerian federal government that money? It's their own money. It's the airlines company money. They only maybe pay some royalties, but those commercial vehicles that are flying our roads, are they paying royalties? Even the money that is being collected in the motor park is being collected by the Union of Road Transport Workers, going into their private pocket, not government. But when it comes to cow, because Fulanis are the owners, it becomes something else. So look at the extent of hatred. Look at the extent of injustice that is meted against the pastoralists of this country.
Let's not be negative.
No, I'm not being negative. But you can agree with me that these things that I have said are there. The roads are there for the commercial vehicles to fly. The airports are there for airlines to take off. You must also agree with me. Some foreigners who are coming into Nigeria to invest deserve some sort of incentives. What more of the pastoralists? If they are denied, what do you call that? Is it not injustice?
Okay, we hope there be justice. Yeah. Well, in the past 30 minutes, a little more than that, I've been conversing with the president of the association, Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria. Mark. We made this conversation interesting, not contentious. We've tried to raise the issues and look at them without sentiment. Just believe and hope that those who ought to act will act. We also want to believe that their membership will exercise both patience and endurance. As he has said, the whole thing is a process. Baba Usman Miyetti, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.